Hey, what's up, Bird Gang? Welcome to Let's Talk, the series where we skin dogs alive because simply mimicking their patterns is too much of a hassle. This is your friendly neighborhood Birdman, and today we're talking Cruella. So Cruella is an adaptation of an old novel by Dodie Smith, which was famously turned into one of the most beloved Disney animated films. The story centers on Estella, a brilliant fashion designer with a devilish alter ego who tries to navigate the British fashion scene in the 1970s. After losing her mother, she links up with two other orphans and becomes a petty thief, all while trying to live out her dream of becoming a fashion designer. After getting her big break designing clothes for a rich baroness, Estella finds herself at odds with the baroness, and this conflict brings out Cruella, a nickname her mother gave her for her less than good side. The first thing that I'd like to say about this film is that it is very, very stylish. You might think that I'm making a pun here, but honestly, it's the word that came to me over and over while watching this film. This movie is slick in a way that I haven't seen any other Disney adaptation be, and suffice it to say, I think this movie ranks as the best live-action Disney adaptation, which of course isn't saying much, but stick with me here. There is an obvious amount of care put into this film. Most of these Disney adaptations feel soulless, only made to make as much money as possible. This movie actually feels like something that a real filmmaker crafted, and I think people who watch this will know exactly what I mean. When I first happened upon the trailer for this film, I was really excited for it. And then I watched it. The trailer for this movie wasn't very good at getting anything across other than we are making Cruella de Vil Maleficent 2.0. In other words, turning a murderous, dog-killing supervillain into a misunderstood anti-hero, which is something I was dreading going in. And the film kinda does this, except they do such a fantastic job at endearing us to this character, her eventual heel turn makes all the sense. We are looking at a Joker-like origin story where a film takes a villainous character and makes them the protagonist while showing why they end up as villains. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not saying this film is Joker, as this movie is far more lighthearted than it is grim, but those were the vibes I got. Just as Joaquin killed Joker, Emma crushed it as Cruella. I'm no expert, so my British fans please chime in, but I thought Emma's English accent was on point. The only caveat I'd throw in here is that when she was switching back and forth between her alter ego, the accent was the same posh upper-class English accent that I thought should have switched to a more working-class accent when she was Estella. You know, someone that speaks like this, with a flourish. And then as Estella, she should have sounded like someone that speaks like this. I don't know how realistic that would have been, but it's just something I thought the movie could have done in keeping with its style. In that respect, another thing I really enjoyed about this movie was the music. The soundtrack of this film was absolutely killer, if you're into 70s punk and glam rock like I am. The music reminded me of Baby Driver in that it is front and center in the film, and I found myself singing along with the tunes because I knew pretty much every song. There was one instance where a song was completely out of place, however, and it was friggin' Car Wash. I'm sitting there like, why the hell is Car Wash playing in this scene? Car Wash? I want to give a special shout out to Emma Thompson as the Baroness. She chewed the scenery every time she was on screen and gave us a compelling and funny villain. Usually when you watch these kinds of movies, you're only rooting for the protagonist as the villain is just kind of there. But in this instance, I think people are going to love Emma Thompson here. She kind of upstages Emma Stone when they're in the same scenes, and strangely, gave us the Cruella de Vil we are all most familiar with, which, due to the plot that I'm not going to spoil, is actually by design. If you took Emma Stone out of this movie completely, I would totally believe you if you told me Emma Thompson was playing Cruella. Both the Emmas worked really well for me. The supporting cast is also pretty good. They all play their roles well, the chemistry was there, and I had a good time laughing at their hijinks. I did feel like their characterization was a little convenient, for lack of a better word. I'm trying not to spoil anything, but let's just say there were times where Cruella's friends did things for her that I thought only served to continue the plot. This brings me to the negatives of this film. There were a few times things happened for the sake of moving the plot forward that don't exactly make the most sense. Earlier, I mentioned Emma's accent. She's basically Clark Kent with his glasses. As soon as her red hair disappears, people who are close to her suddenly don't recognize her, even though she's doing the same sexy, posh accent. I'm sitting there like, how the hell does no one recognize her? Further, her lackeys seem to also have this Superman thing going on, but even worse because one of them is a very specific looking big guy. As soon as he's wearing an exterminator suit, no one recognizes him either. The movie uses this to put the characters into situations they should have easily been caught if any of the other characters paid attention. I also thought the CGI in this film was absolutely superfluous. There are 5 dogs in this movie, and all of them get wonky looking CGI that wasn't needed. I'm pretty sure we've been training dogs to act in movies for a century at this point. They could have used actual dogs for those scenes. The movie is also a little long at 2 hours and 14 minutes. Whenever I thought they were done with the second act, it just kinda kept going, and this is one of those movies that I feel overstay its welcome. I was having a good time, to be fair, but I'm not sure this story couldn't have been told in an hour and 40 minutes. These are of course nitpicks, but those were the things that bothered me the most, and that's a compliment because this movie is actually pretty darn good. A-. I know, a Disney adaptation? An A-? Yeah, that's my score. I couldn't really think of many things that ruined this movie for me. After watching that trailer, my expectations went into the toilet, which sucked because I love Emma Stone, and I walked out of the theater audibly saying to myself, I enjoyed that, so of course I'm going to recommend people watch this. A funny thing that I thought I should mention, you guys are absolutely going to get tired of Cruella de Vil because her costume designs in this film are stellar and lend themselves to cosplay. Move over Lady Dimitrescu and Harley Quinn, Cruella de Vil is the new Halloween cosplay queen. Anyway, this has been your friendly neighborhood Birdman, and I'll catch you in the next one.